Thanks for listening to the Elias Macko Show. Next guest just walked in studio here. He's a pastor at St-Jax Church right downtown in Montreal. St. Catherine, your bishop, right?
You got it.
Graham Singh is the voice you just heard here, Pastor Singh. Graham, thank you for coming into the show today.
Thanks, Elias. Great to be with you.
Reason we're having you on is that you posted basically like a cri de coeur on Facebook about a situation that's been affecting your church. And what I think you see is a failure of the system to deal with it. Why don't you tell our listeners here what you posted about what your church has been facing in downtown Montreal?
So it's a situation that many people who live and thrive in downtown Montreal know. The mix of homelessness, mental health, addiction, questions about how we engage with Indigenous communities downtown. This is not an Indigenous question that happened over the weekend. But ultimately, this leads to security questions of at what point does somebody get arrested? In this case, we had a fellow who's actually been arrested 4 previous times in the past 12 months. At times, he's been shouting across the walls at events we've hosted for organizations like Pride Montreal. They become homophobic threats. They become racialized threats. I had quite a few of those over the weekend from this particular fellow. And eventually they became death threats, saying, I'll kill you, I'll kill your family. And eventually, you could say, boy, this guy's really struggling. He is. But as somebody who is responsible for ensuring one of Montreal's oldest downtown churches, we have nearly 100 nonprofits that benefit from our space on a yearly basis. When you hear phrases like that, the only thing you can do is call the police and insist that they take this person out of the public domain. We don't have a choice. We can't say, well, we don't think he really means it. If something terrible happens, we have to have acted. And in this case, this guy has been arrested so many times.
Yeah.
But he's not getting the help he needs.
I would imagine, Reverend, that you would want to try anything else first, other than doing the phone calls to the police and arrests, right?
You got it. And eventually, I was pretty cross with police on Sunday, I got to tell you, because the number of times this person's been arrested, and I see the police at times, they can't do anything else but drive the guys down the road and eventually let them out. And that's just not enough.
So you're saying 4 arrests previously?
Those are ones that we have
that you know of. Yeah. And every single time this person comes back, like how soon?
The cat came back.
They
thought he was a goner.
Is it the very next day, basically?
It is actually the very next day. In one case, we had two calls and 2 arrests on the same day from this one particular individual. Yep. And this is one of the police issues we have. We've had metal stolen from the roof on the church. We've had the doors smashed in. I'm giving an example today of one person and one set of issues, but we are amongst the downtown community. This is our reality. Yeah. This is what we're facing. And these are kind, loving people who run businesses downtown. In our case, those who are hosting some of our most impactful nonprofits. But at a certain point, after a certain point, they cannot take action. We have to stop. And we're reaching that point so often now that those essential services are being stopped.
Seems to me, feel free to give it to me from your perspective. Seems to me, police are doing their job. They're coming. They're arresting the person. Criminal justice system, with how it's now run, not just in Montreal, across the country, is like, we can't keep them. They have to be released. That's what's going on here, right?
It is. Now, there is a step before where the police, and my part of being cross with the police on Sunday was they started getting into, to what extent am I willing to testify? Well, unfortunately, we're always willing to testify. Yeah. We're always willing to do that when it's needed. I don't like having that conversation on the street when somebody's issuing death threats. To me, that's the police's job. You got to get this guy out of the public domain. We'll talk about the court later on. Mm-hmm. So, the police are trying to only really undertake or go forward with arrests where they can get a conviction. I get that. Yeah. But ultimately, they know what happens with some of these guys, right? They're back on the streets right away. Is it a homelessness issue? For sure. Can we put people in the hippodrome and put emergency housing? For sure. But ultimately, it's the full integration. I call this the integration between 311 and 911. The small crimes that may seem like a small issue. It's not a small issue when you have a homeless human being sitting on the streets, right? That to fentanyl is a very, very short journey.
With Pastor Graham Singh from St-Jax Church, right in downtown Montreal in St. Catherine, near the corner of Bishop Street. Now, it seems like this situation is exceptional. We're dealing with an individual that goes far beyond what, I got to say, we've become used to about seeing in downtown Montreal. This is an exceptional case. But I guess what I have to ask you is, there are a lot of people that, like, people are saying we need to force people into mental health institutions, force them to stay there. Or if it's drugs, we need to force them into rehab, make them stay there. Immediately the pushback against the charter of rights and freedoms. These people have charter rights. And this is a back and forth we're having in this country. And judges have ruled time and time again that the lenient release thing, that's how we should do things.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's, first of all, I don't think this is exceptional. I think this is one person amongst many. And I'm talking about 5 arrests for one particular person who we care for. We'd love to see him rehabilitated. If we're really honest, has this person been arrested 20, 30, 40, 50 times? And how many people do we have that have topped the 50 arrests list? Ask that to our SBPM officers who are working hard. I heard from the firefighters union yesterday. I heard recently that the firefighters are responding, something 75% of their calls are to homelessness. That's not acceptable. We don't need firemen and women responding to they should be responding to fires. This is not exceptional. And yes, you're absolutely right. When people say, are we going to force somebody to get help? There is a containment. Are we incarcerating people? At a certain point, how do we not? After 40, 50 calls, how can we do other?
You're a man of God. What is the loving and caring way to take care of an individual like this, of individuals who are like this?
Well, it comes, Elias, to our test. When somebody is at imminent danger for themselves or imminent danger to others, we have to ask for help. That's where we go beyond the work that the church can do, and we have to seek help from the police services. We have to report things in. That's a standard test for a lot of things that we face. Yeah. And in this case, as a person of faith, and I think many people in Montreal are people of faith. They believe in the best. They want to see these things change. There are times we've got to put our foot down. And at this time, the je m'en foutisme, I don't really care. That's not actually what I think we're seeing here. I think we're seeing people overwhelmed, including the police. Yeah. They don't know where to go. And what that needs, there's only one solution. It's leadership. And that is what we have to see in this upcoming election. It's not enough to say, Valérie Plante. Yeah, for sure. Madame Plante has got to answer for where we're at right now. Yeah. But we've got to look further than that and say, what are people practically going to promise to do? Yeah. And make sure anybody who says, that's not my job, it's a federal problem, it's a provincial problem. I'm looking for politicians in this upcoming election who are really going to say, my job is to find a solution and make sure it's happening. And this is our number one issue right now.
The calls are getting louder. You're not alone in this. Thanks for joining us this morning and adding your voice to, it's a chorus now of the people that are saying things very similar to what you've said.
There is Glenn Castanera, Montreal Centre-Ville. We talked about the tax valuations of Montreal commercial properties, $2 billion in lost tax revenue. That's because people don't trust coming downtown. We've got to fix that. People love downtown. We want to get going again. And this is one of those things. These are human beings we've got to do more for. Graham Singh is the pastor at St-Jax Church in downtown Montreal. Thank you so much, Graham. Thanks, Elias.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.